right, guys, Magic Spoon is here to reinvent your morning routine with high protein, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free, and naturally flavored breakfasts. This is cereal with 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and just 4 to 5 net grams of carbs per serving. Plus, their treats are just 1 gram of sugar, 11 to 12 grams of protein, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. Talk about starting your day on the right foot. There are flavors like cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, maple waffle, blueberry muffin, birthday cake, cinnamon roll. Need I go on? With Magic Spoon's 100% happiness guarantee. If you do not love it, they will give you your money back, no questions asked. Click the link below, scan the QR code, or go to magicspoon.com/Chael. Use my promo code Chael. That will save you $5 when you build your very own custom box. And hey, Canadian and British pals, they've got you covered too. Breakfast just got a whole lot more exciting, courtesy of Magic Spoon. Arman Tsarukyan suspended for 9 months. Fined 50 grand. I'm rounding numbers here. I want to get to this. Obed Arden. Obed Arden is the gentleman that Tsarukyan threw a punch at. I'm actually never been clear if that punch landed or not. I flipped him off. This is Obed Arden speaking. I flipped him off, nothing else. Congrats to Aram on a great performance. And best of luck against whoever he fights for the title. That's this guy's comment. Who is this guy? This guy's awesome. That guy is awesome. I don't think most people would have that attitude. And you guys know what I'm talking about? Maybe I need to back up a little bit. UFC 300, Tsarukyan's walking out. He's taking on Charles Oliveira. As Tsarukyan's coming out, something happens. Something happened. The whole thing was so fast, I got to kind of leave it at that. I don't know if the guy reached out and touched him or if it was a situation like that at all, but Tsarukyan stopped what he was doing and took a step. Couldn't reach him at first. He actually closed distance to get to him, then threw a punch. We couldn't see if the punch landed. There's my vantage point off of my memory. I thought that was done. Not only I think it was done, I never thought it started. I didn't think that ever went anywhere, and then I read today that Tsarukyan had been suspended. And not only was he given the suspension, it was a retroactive suspension to the night that happened, which roughly, again off the top of my head, was April 9th. And moreover, they would reduce the suspension if Tsarukyan produced a anti-bullying video. Okay. So then you got dude who I just quoted there, who could have come out and gotten attention and done this whole thing and had a lawsuit and had a settlement, and he tells him we're all good, and by the way, good luck in your next fight. All right. I bring this to you because I find the rules to be fascinating. Nobody else does. I am all alone. I was over here talking to you guys day after day about Charles Oliveira being stripped of the title for missing weight in Arizona and proclaiming to you that if that would have been tested, it would have been a very interesting battle. I've sat over here day after day and told you if Conor McGregor took on USADA based on the 180 days that USADA is claiming he has to be in the pool when he returns to the pool, that would have been a very interesting fight. And these things are all opinion. And that's one thing that people don't understand. It's like they get mad at a doctor if they go to the doctor and the doctor gives them a misdiagnosis. They want to sue him. And it's like, well, I don't totally blame you for that, but there isn't medicine. Just like there isn't law. You practice medicine. They don't know. And the same thing goes with law. And you will hear people come out and go, well, this is the rule, and therefore take Charles's belt. It's like, well, I read that rule differently, and I don't think you had the power to take his belt. But we never get to that unless it's tested, which means when they went to take Charles's belt, he pushed back. And you want to know why I don't talk about it very much? For some reason, other people just aren't interested in that. But the Tsarukyan one, for me, I was there. I happened to be right next to the ring. I saw Hunter Campbell go over and have the conversation with Tsarukyan as he was coming down the steps of the octagon to leave, where Hunter offered Tsarukyan the title shot opposite Islam in Atlantic City, which ended up being a spot taken by Dustin Poirier. And to me, that's interesting. Tsarukyan turned it down. Insert Dustin. Well, what if Tsarukyan had not turned it down? Generally on a suspension. Right or wrong, I actually have a big problem with this being right, but right or wrong, as soon as you are accused and or suspected, you are thus suspended. Right there, boom, you're suspended. Pending a hearing. So then you have to wait until you get into the hearing. Now, let's just say you were cleared, which you will never find an example where that's happened, but let's just say that the person was cleared. You can't get those dates back, so you would have already missed the fight. In Tsarukyan's case, he would have missed the world title fight had he accepted it. At least in theory. Therein lies my question. What if he was suspended? I'm talking about Tsarukyan. What if he was suspended exactly like I just told you? 50 grand, 9 months, send a video, anti-bullying, reduce the whole thing. What if that happened? But he did accept the fight. So would have it been a case where he would have been able to go to Atlantic City, fought Islam regardless of result, and then come in and get the hearing, which is then suspended, which, by the way, would be impossible to do retroactive if he was busy and at work. And I'm just asking the question, right? It gets complicated. It gets complicated and there is no clear answer. And the fact that there's no clear answer frustrates some people, but it comes back to my initial premise that there are no rules. There are no rules if somebody resists. There's only what you think the rules are. Much like everybody thought they had the right to take the belt off Charles. I'm here to tell you, they did not. But they do if Charles says, yeah, you do. Those are the rules, and that's the way it goes, and here's the belt back. So, I trust Tsarukyan will make the video. I trust Tsarukyan will be returned. But when you're suspended, there are so incredibly many bylaws and subsections to the rules that the audience never knows. And nor should you. But let me just offer one for you. If you are a suspended athlete, not only are you not allowed to fight, you are not allowed to train. Well, what the hell does that mean? I mean, in all fairness, what does that mean? And you're going, well, you can't go in the gym. Okay, fine. Is that what training is? Like, how are you going to define training? Can I go on the treadmill in my garage when nobody's there? Because the rule says I can't train. But what if that isn't training? What if that's called exercise? Like, where is the difference? I realize I'm being silly, but do you see the problem? Now, also within the rules, if you train with, if you were the partner and sparring partner of, if you were a cornerman or a coach and you were working with, helping to train an athlete who is under suspension, you can be suspended. Are you ready for that? And now, that's never been tested. You will not find a person throughout history that ever had their license in jeopardy or had to have a hearing for training or training with somebody who was suspended. But the rule is still there. So it becomes a very interesting spot if somebody wanted it to be. And my largest point of all of this isn't to bring to you ridiculous rules that exist that everybody looks the other way because they're silly. I don't disagree with you, but what is the point of having a rule if it's not going to be enforced? Why'd you write it down in the first place? Who was the fool that raised his hand and threw it out before somebody said, I agree, and they brought the gavel down? Like, how did this happen in the first place? If it was silly and we were going to look the other way, why did we do it? So when you're in Tsarukyan's place, see, and the reason these become interesting is Ryan Garcia is largely going through the same thing. There is not a distinction within the rules for why you were suspended. There is no distinction. If you're suspended for punching somebody retroactively in a $50,000 fine until that time has elapsed and that fine has been paid, both have to be true. Or you are suspended for X amount of time and a fine, both of which have to be remedied for a performance-enhancing drug. There is no distinction. The suspension is still the suspension, and everything around the suspension still applies. Interesting spot. Maybe you think so, maybe you don't. I thought Conor versus USADA was going to be the fight of the century, and I think that Charles should have went and got his belt back, and he should have got participation points on the pay-per-view, of which he forfeited along with the belt because he didn't know to stand up and push back. But that is just my opinion.